Now they see why no species can survive an attack on Earth. The sky over Earth had never looked so strange. Brilliant streaks of light tore across the horizon, moving faster than any airplane or missile the human eye had ever seen. People froze in awe, pointing toward the heavens, whispering questions they couldn't answer. Some thought it was a meteor shower. Others feared something worse. In the control room of the International Space Observation Center, alarms blared and the air was tense. Commander Aisha Malik stared at the screens, heart racing. A cluster of objects, hundreds of them, were entering the atmosphere at hypersonic speeds. They weren't satellites. They weren't meteors. They were ships, massive, black, and glinting under the sun. "They're coming," muttered Dr. Lee, the senior astrophysicist. His voice was calm, but the tension in his hands betrayed him. "And they're coordinated. These aren't scouts. This is an attack." Across the world, governments scrambled. Military leaders, scientists, and diplomats convened in emergency meetings, trying to understand an enemy they had never faced. The aliens, whatever they were, didn't communicate. They simply descended with precision, surrounding major cities, blocking communication satellites, and isolating nations from one another. Panic spread, but oddly, so did determination. In New York City, Ava Patel looked out the window of her apartment in Times Square. The sky was a canvas of fear and wonder. She had been an engineer at one of the city's tech firms, working on AI and robotics, but she never imagined her skills would be needed in a war against beings from another world. Now she watched as the first alien ships hovered above Manhattan, their metallic surfaces reflecting the sunlight in dazzling patterns. "They're huge," she whispered, gripping her tablet. It wasn't just size that terrified her. It was the silent confidence radiating from them. These weren't animals or chaotic creatures. They were organized, intelligent, and terrifyingly calm. But humans had something the aliens did not anticipate: ingenuity. While the world panicked, people like Ava began to think. Engineers and programmers, scientists and students, even ordinary citizens, started looking for ways to use what they had. Drones that delivered packages were repurposed into reconnaissance tools. Automated cars formed convoys to evacuate civilians. AI systems rerouted communication signals to bypass the alien interference. In space, satellites that were once passive observers became weapons and sensors. Humanity's technology was scattered and primitive compared to the alien fleet, but its adaptability was unmatched. The aliens, used to conquering civilizations that reacted predictably, were already facing the first surprises. In the skies above Europe, Captain Johann Richter piloted a fighter jet toward one of the alien ships. He had spent his life flying simulations, but nothing prepared him for this. The ship was massive, hovering effortlessly, ignoring gravity. Johann fired his missiles. They fizzled in the air, dissolving before reaching the ship. "It's immune," he radioed, his voice tense. "Nothing works. We need another strategy." Meanwhile, in Beijing, scientists discovered something even more remarkable. The aliens' ships, while technologically advanced, had patterns. They moved in predictable formations when attacking, but these formations shifted whenever humans used creative tactics. Using decoys, holograms, and rapid, small-scale attacks, humanity forced the aliens to adapt constantly. It was exhausting, but it worked. Even nature seemed to side with humans. Dense forests, sprawling mountains, and unpredictable weather provided cover and strategic advantages. The aliens, accustomed to open, easily conquered worlds, found themselves challenged by a species that could use every river, hill, and cityscape as a weapon. Back in New York, Ava and her team were coordinating efforts across the city. They weren't soldiers, but they didn't need to be. With 3D printers, robotics kits, and whatever electronics they could salvage, they created tools to track, confuse, and harass the alien scouts. One small team launched a drone into the hovering alien ship. It wasn't armed with weapons. It was a spying device, sending back information. The data revealed the ship's vulnerabilities, areas of thinner armor, systems sensitive to electromagnetic pulses, and blind spots in their sensors. "Look at this," Ava said, showing her team the live feed. "We can fight them. We just have to be smarter." Across the Atlantic, the United Nations convened in a secure underground facility. Leaders from every nation watched the invasion unfold on holographic screens. Instead of despair, there was a shared determination. Humanity had been divided for centuries, but now, facing a threat that endangered all life on Earth, they united. "We can't match them in strength," said General Rojas, commanding the Joint Defense Forces. "But we can match them in strategy, and we can outthink them." In the skies above Africa, a squadron of human aircraft conducted daring maneuvers, using the terrain to mask their movements. Alien ships fired, but each shot was anticipated, dodged, or rendered useless by human innovation. The aliens were fast learners, but humans were unpredictable. Each new tactic taught them, but humans quickly adapted again. On the ground, civilians played their part. Engineers repaired communication lines, farmers transported essential supplies, and ordinary citizens formed patrols to protect key infrastructure. Humanity had no single army. It had millions of minds, acting together, improvising and creating solutions on the fly. By nightfall, the first wave of alien scouts had withdrawn. It was a small victory, but a significant one. Humanity had proven that Earth was not just a planet. It was a crucible of adaptability, courage, and intelligence. The aliens had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found resistance they could not predict, an enemy that refused to follow patterns, and a planet alive with determination. Commander Aisha Malik stood before the observation screens, her reflection mirrored in the glass. She could see the city lights below, flickering like tiny stars. The aliens were still out there, and the next wave would be worse. But for the first time, she felt hope. Humanity was not powerless. Humanity was resilient. And somewhere deep in space, the alien commanders studied the retreating scouts with confusion. They had faced countless species across the galaxy, but Earth was different. Humans were not easily defeated. They adapted. They learned. They united. And that was something the aliens had never encountered before. As the night deepened, across every continent, humanity braced for what would come next. The battle had only begun, but one thing was clear. The humans of Earth were not going to surrender. Not now. Not ever. And for the first time, the galaxy began to see why no species could ever survive an attack on Earth. The night had passed, but Earth did not rest. Across every continent, humans moved with purpose, as if the threat above had awakened a deeper strength inside them. Cities that once slept under a peaceful sky were now buzzing with determination. The alien scouts had retreated, but their presence was a stark reminder. The invasion was far from over. Commander Aisha Malik stood in the International Space Observation Center, reviewing the data from the alien scouts. Screens flickered with live feeds. Cities, forests, mountains, and oceans mapped in real time, tracking both human activity and alien movement. "They're studying us," Aisha said, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "They're trying to understand how we respond, and we need to stay one step ahead." Dr. Lee leaned over a console, pointing at patterns of alien movement. "They're predictable in a way. Their formations repeat, but only if we force them to. We can use that," Aisha nodded. "Then we adapt faster. We hit, we retreat, and we confuse them, make them question every move." Meanwhile, on the ground, Ava Patel and her team had already begun work on the counterstrike. The drones that had once been used for surveillance were now being armed with electromagnetic disruptors. Using signals gathered from the alien ships, Ava programmed the drones to fly in synchronized patterns, creating false targets that would interfere with the alien sensors. "It's like a dance," Ava said, smiling at her team. We make them think we're one thing, then do something completely different. The first test came in the skies above North America. Hundreds of drones ascended silently, moving in precise formations. Alien ships approached, expecting easy targets, but the drones split, merged, and shifted in ways the aliens' systems could not fully track. Their weapons fired blindly, missing every target, while the humans observed weaknesses in their shielding. "It's working," said Lieutenant Marco Rivera, piloting a fighter jet nearby. "They're slower to react than we thought." In Europe, a different strategy was unfolding. Human engineers had repurposed old satellites to create a network of low-orbit devices that emitted pulses capable of disrupting alien communication. Within hours, the alien command structure in that region began to falter. Ships collided, formations broke apart, and the aliens were forced to retreat to safer positions. It wasn't brute force that gave humans the advantage, it was creativity. Every engineer, soldier, and volunteer was thinking outside the box, turning ordinary tools into weapons of strategy. Even cities became battlegrounds in a new way. Buildings were outfitted with reflective surfaces that confused alien sensors. Streets were blocked and redirected to funnel enemy forces into traps. Parks and rivers became natural cover for defensive teams. Meanwhile, Ava's team identified something remarkable. Alien ships were strongest from the front, but their sides and undersides were vulnerable. Using this information, humans began coordinated strikes from unexpected angles. Small teams launched drones or piloted ships to attack these weak points, while larger forces distracted the enemy elsewhere. In Beijing, Dr. Li Wei supervised the deployment of human-made EMP devices. She had calculated that a carefully timed pulse could temporarily disable alien systems without causing permanent destruction. The first test was a success. An alien ship froze midair, its lights flickering. Human pilots swooped in, dodging enemy fire and guiding it into a controlled retreat. "It's a start," Dr. Li said, relief in her voice. "Every small victory counts." Across Africa, a group of volunteers discovered that natural elements could be as effective as technology. Thick sandstorms, sudden monsoons, and dense jungles were used to obscure movements, limit visibility, and create traps. Humans adapted to the environment quickly, turning what the aliens considered weaknesses into their greatest strengths. On the ocean, ships coordinated by international forces created a massive shield of interference. Decoy vessels, high-speed boats, and automated underwater drones worked together to intercept alien dropships. Entire fleets were forced to retreat after failing to land troops or supplies. In the skies over South America, pilot Ana Santos led a squadron of jets in a daring maneuver. The alien ships had assumed humans could only fight defensively. Ana proved them wrong. She and her team executed high-speed loops, unpredictable dives, and sudden retreats that left the alien commanders scrambling. Every time the aliens tried to predict human behavior, they were met with something completely unexpected. Even small towns contributed. In a rural village in Canada, farmers used their knowledge of the land to set up ambushes. Fields of crops hid sensors and traps, while barns and silos became observation posts. The aliens, accustomed to open and orderly invasions, found themselves frustrated by humans who could use their environment like a weapon. The turning point came when human forces managed to infiltrate one of the alien command ships. It wasn't a full-scale boarding. Humans were careful, using drones and remote-controlled devices to hack into alien systems. They discovered something astonishing. The aliens had never faced a species with this level of unpredictability. Every planet they had conquered had eventually yielded to brute force, technology, or fear. Earth was different. "This is incredible," Ava whispered as she reviewed the data. "They can't understand us because we don't behave the way they expect." From space, Commander Aisha watched the results unfold. Alien ships that had seemed invincible were now vulnerable, retreating in disarray. Human ingenuity had turned the first wave of attacks into a learning experience, revealing weaknesses that could be exploited. And yet she knew the aliens would not give up easily. "They'll return," she said, "and when they do, we need to be ready to surprise them again." But humans were ready. Across continents, new alliances had formed. Scientists shared discoveries across borders, engineers coordinated with soldiers, and civilians offered resources and support. The chaos of the invasion had united humanity in a way never seen before. In New York, Ava's team prepared the next phase. They had learned that alien ships responded poorly to unpredictability, rapid change, and decentralized attacks. Using this knowledge, they planned a coordinated strike involving drones, fighter jets, EMP pulses, and even natural elements like weather manipulation systems. "This isn't just defense," Ava told her team. "It's a counterattack, and it will show them that Earth is not a place they can conquer easily." The aliens, observing from above, began to understand that humans were more than just physical opponents. Humans could adapt, create, and work together in ways that no other species in the galaxy had demonstrated. Their strategies were not rigid. Their courage was not predictable. Their planet itself became a weapon. In the desert of the Middle East, a small team of engineers tested a new tactic. Using mirrors, solar panels, and reflective surfaces, they created illusions of entire armies where none existed. Alien ships, deceived by these illusions, fired weapons into empty sand dunes, wasting energy and time. In the forests of Europe, biologists worked with the military to use wildlife and natural terrain as distractions. Flocks of birds, herds of animals, and sudden fogs created chaos among the alien forces, making it impossible for them to land troops or gather resources. Even in the Arctic, humans used extreme temperatures to their advantage. Alien ships, designed for temperate planets, struggled to maintain stability in the harsh cold. Remote-controlled vehicles and drones exploited these weaknesses, slowing the alien advance. By the end of the second week, humans had scored significant victories. Alien forces were retreating, regrouping, and reconsidering their tactics. Every attack they launched was met with creativity, resilience, and cooperation. Earth was not just surviving, it was striking back. Commander Aisha Malik, watching the reports from her command center, allowed herself a rare smile. Humanity had proven something important. When faced with impossible odds, humans could rise, innovate, and fight back with intelligence and courage. The alien invaders had underestimated them, and that mistake would have consequences. And somewhere in the galaxy, the alien commanders sent reports back to their superiors. They had seen the resilience of humans, the unity of Earth, and the unpredictable power of a species defending its home. They did not yet understand it fully, but one thing was becoming clear: Earth was unlike any planet they had ever encountered. As night fell across the continents, humans did not celebrate yet. They knew the aliens would return, stronger and more determined, but they were no longer afraid. They had learned how to fight together, how to use their minds and their planet as weapons, and how to turn fear into strategy. Ava Patel looked at the skyline, lights flickering like stars, and whispered to herself, "They think they can conquer us. But they haven't seen the best of us yet." Across every battlefield, every city, and every sky, humans prepared for the next wave. They had discovered something incredible, that their greatest strength was not their weapons or technology, but their unity, creativity, and unbreakable will to survive. The galaxy had begun to notice. Earth was no ordinary planet. Humanity was no ordinary species. And soon, the universe would learn why no one could survive an attack on Earth. The sky was a battlefield unlike any other in the galaxy. Alien ships hovered over every continent. their massive forms casting long shadows over forests, oceans, and cities. Yet, despite their power and numbers, they were hesitant. The humans they had come to conquer had not only survived, they had adapted, innovated, and struck back. Commander Aisha Malik stood before the largest observation screen in the International Space Observation Center. Lines of green and blue lights traced human movements across the planet, while red marks indicated alien positions. Every continent was alive with activity, not chaotic but coordinated, precise, and unpredictable. "They think they can break us with force," Aisha said, her voice steady but her eyes reflecting the weight of responsibility. "But they don't understand Earth or its people." Dr. Lee leaned over her console. "They've regrouped. This will be their largest wave yet. But we have something they do not expect." "What's that?" Aisha asked. "Everything." Dr. Lee smiled faintly. "Every city, every forest, every ocean, every human. They underestimate the planet itself and the people who defend it." Far above the Atlantic Ocean, Captain Johann Richter led a squadron of jets toward one of the alien carriers. The ship's shields glimmered like liquid metal. Johann's team had learned to exploit weaknesses in those shields, attacking from angles the aliens did not anticipate. Yet the sheer scale of the invasion was daunting. Hundreds of ships moved in precise formations, ready to crush any resistance. But humans had learned something the aliens had not anticipated. Adaptation was limitless. Every failed attempt became a lesson. Every victory taught new strategies, and Earth itself was an ally. In the deserts of Africa, remote-controlled vehicles scouted ahead of human units, laying down decoys that mimicked entire armies. The alien sensors detected them and focused fire, only to realize the armies were illusions. While they wasted energy attacking fake targets, real human forces moved through hidden paths, striking vital alien systems. In Europe, a new innovation turned rivers, lakes, and canals into strategic defenses. Controlled flooding created barriers the aliens could not cross without risking their ships. Human engineers synchronized these efforts across countries, turning entire landscapes into protective shields. Meanwhile, Ava Patel's team in New York was preparing for something even greater. Using the data gathered from previous encounters, they had developed a system of coordinated strikes that combined drones, fighter jets, electromagnetic pulses, and environmental advantages. It was not just a battle plan, it was a demonstration of humanity's intelligence and creativity. "This isn't just defense," Ava told her team. "It's a revelation. They will see why no species can survive an attack on Earth." In the skies above Asia, the first wave of coordinated human strikes began. Drones darted like swarms of birds, confusing alien sensors. Fighter jets performed sudden loops and dives, attacking from angles the aliens had not prepared for. EMP pulses disabled ship systems temporarily, causing chaos in formations that once seemed invincible. The aliens fired back, their weapons more powerful than anything humans had ever faced. Explosions tore through the air, and some cities were damaged. But the humans adapted instantly. Mobile shields, reflective surfaces, and rapid evacuations minimized casualties. Each strike became a lesson, and humanity evolved with every encounter. In the oceans, autonomous ships worked together with drones and submarines, intercepting alien vessels before they could land. The combination of human creativity, adaptability, and relentless will to survive made the aliens' attacks less effective. Every ship forced to retreat strengthened humanity's resolve. Far above the Arctic, scientists used the harsh environment to their advantage. Alien ships, designed for temperate planets, struggled to maintain stability in the extreme cold. Remote-controlled vehicles attacked from beneath ice and snow, striking at weak points discovered by human engineers. Across the globe, humans were learning faster than the aliens could adapt. It was no longer just a battle. It was a demonstration of Earth's ultimate defense, the human spirit combined with the planet itself. The alien commanders, observing from above, began to grow uneasy. They had expected resistance, but nothing like this. No species had ever adapted so quickly, coordinated so effectively, or used their planet so cleverly. Every attack they launched was met with innovation, courage, and strategy. Every victory they thought they had achieved was temporary, as humans turned setbacks into advantages. "They are extraordinary," one alien leader murmured to another. "They are unlike any species we have faced." "They are not just survivors," another replied. "They are a force of nature." Back on Earth, Ava Patel and her team executed the final phase of their plan. Across multiple continents, humans launched synchronized strikes that targeted alien ships, weaknesses discovered over weeks of observation and combat. Drones swarmed, imps fired, and fighter jets struck vulnerable points with precision. Natural defenses, mountains, rivers, forests, and deserts were used to limit alien movement. The alien ships faltered, shields flickered, communications broke down, confusion spread across the fleet. For the first time, humans saw their enemies hesitate. It was a moment of revelation. The alien invaders were learning what humanity had always known. Earth could not be conquered by force alone. In New York, Ava watched the screens as alien ships began to retreat. Her team cheered quietly, but there was no celebration. There was something deeper happening. The aliens were realizing the truth. Earth was not just defended by humans. Earth itself was alive with strategy, adaptability, and determination. Commander Aisha Malik saw it too. "They are beginning to understand," she said. "They thought they could conquer a planet. They are learning they are facing a species that evolves faster than they can attack." In orbit, human satellites emitted pulses that disrupted alien navigation. Drones used these pulses to guide precise attacks. Across the continents, humans executed decoy maneuvers, luring alien ships into traps where environmental advantages, mountains, oceans, and forests, would make their attacks useless. Even the alien leaders could not ignore the evidence. Entire fleets had been neutralized or forced to retreat, not through destruction, but through intelligence, creativity, and adaptation. The humans had transformed their planet into an unassailable fortress, and their unity made them unstoppable. On the ground, ordinary citizens played their part. Communities provided supplies, intelligence, and shelter. Farmers guided military units through familiar terrain. Scientists adapted technology on the fly. Children and adults alike contributed, each action reinforcing the larger strategy. Humanity was not a collection of individuals. It was a coordinated force, stronger than the sum of its parts. The alien commanders convened in their massive command vessel. For the first time in their history, they hesitated. Their records contained victories over countless species across countless worlds. Yet Earth remained unconquered. The humans had survived every attack, adapted to every strategy, and turned their planet into a living weapon. "They are undefeatable," one commander admitted, "not because of strength but because of will and intelligence and unity." "They are more than a species," another said. "They are a force of survival. They are Earth." And then a decision was made. The alien fleet, once confident and aggressive, began to withdraw. Not entirely defeated, but humbled. They had seen the limits of their power and the infinite adaptability of humanity. They left not because they were destroyed, but because they realized that no species could ever overcome Earth's defenders without unimaginable cost. On Earth, the humans watched as the alien ships disappeared into the stars. Cities were damaged, but the people were alive. The planet itself seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief. Commander Aisha Malik and Ava Patel met in New York, sharing a moment of quiet triumph. "We did it," Ava said softly. "They won't forget this." "No," Aisha agreed. And now the galaxy knows why no species can survive an attack on Earth. In the days that followed, humans repaired cities, shared knowledge across borders, and strengthened their defenses. They had not only survived, they had proven their resilience, intelligence, and unity. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a symbol of hope, courage, and indomitable spirit. The alien commanders sent reports back to their homeworlds, detailing what they had witnessed. They described a species unlike any other, a planet whose defenders were clever, adaptable, and relentless. They admitted that Earth could not be conquered by force alone, and that humans must be respected, not underestimated. Back on Earth, people returned to their lives but changed. They had faced an enemy from the stars and emerged stronger. They had discovered that their greatest weapon was not technology alone, but their creativity, unity, and unyielding will to survive. And somewhere far above the atmosphere, the humans looked up at the sky, knowing that Earth had proven its power. The galaxy had learned a lesson. No species, no matter how advanced, could survive an attack on Earth. The planet and its people had shown their true strength. They were not conquerable. They were adaptable, clever, and united. They were human, and that was a force no one could ever defeat.